Praise the Lord. What a privilege we have to serve the Lord. And these days, many people, they want to become the servant of God, and many would love to call themselves as servant of God. But being a servant of God, they're not looking to serve people, but they are rather looking for honor, respect, and it's not like the servant king who came to serve, not to be served. So as a servant of God, we are not here to be served, but to serve. Regardless of your situation, position, power, popularity, possessions, God has called us to be servant. Today, I would like to just share two things with you that a servant must remember in his life. First thing is, as we read in Numbers 14 verse 24, it says, "My servant Caleb thinks differently and follows me completely." The first thing as a servant of God or a servant needs to learn is the mind. When we read in Philippians chapter 2 verse 5, it says, "Have the mind of Christ." But from verse 6 onwards, it goes on to explain what Christ did. So having a mind of Christ, there needs to be a shift in your mental attitude. A servant should always think like a servant and not as a master. Well, most of the time we fall in that trap of thinking ourselves as the master and not as a servant. We need to change our thinking. We need to change our attitude. What did Jesus do? Being in the likeness of God, he emptied himself. So first, step towards having the mind of Christ is that we need to empty ourselves, whoever we are, regardless of our background, culture, tribe, caste, whatever we belong to. Let's forget about it. Jesus, being in the likeness of God, he emptied himself. He completely took the form of a servant. And a servant of God must have that kind of mind if you want to become a real servant and not a master. A real servant will always be thinking about others because they are self-forgetful. They're never thinking about themselves, but they're thinking about others. It's not that they think less of themselves, but they think less about themselves. And when we think less about ourselves, then only we can think about others and we can serve them effectively. So it's, you cannot be a servant and full of yourself. You have to empty yourself just like Jesus did. So be careful. The kind of mind we carry determines our attitude and the way we serve people. Sometimes we want to serve the Lord because of popularity, profit, position, possessions around it, and people love that. Second thing, which is very important that we need to learn, is about money. With regards to money, Jesus said, he said, you cannot serve two masters. So a servant has to decide whether he wants to serve the Lord or he wants to serve the money. That's a huge temptation. I would like to encourage us that when we want to become a servant, we have to stop thinking about money, because God shall supply all your needs as you serve the Lord. Elijah was in difficult situations, but God kept providing him. His name is Jehovah Jireh. But people, the love of money leads the servant of God astray from serving God. So be careful, and may God help us to become the real servant of God. God bless you.